Bowl team ever. They're the best team in the NFL. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. But we have to ask the what if. We have to ask the what if. What if they do all this work, all this hype, all this propaganda, whatever you want to call it, and they don't make it to the Super Bowl? What if they do all this work, all this hype, all this money to get to the Super Bowl, but then they lose the Super Bowl? What if? What if they do not win it all this season, meaning the Detroit Lions? Guys, we got to ask the question, what if they don't win it all? What happens? For one, they're going to blame the refs. Let's just be flat and honest. If they play the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl and they don't win, it's going to be Taylor Swift, it's going to be the refs, and the NFL is rigged, right? Boom, 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 right off the bat. But obviously, I'm a logistic thinker, common sense thinker. Use my own head. Don't follow the sheep. Don't follow the crowd. If the Detroit Lions do not make it to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl this season, I am seeing a 2025 hangover. If the Detroit Lions do not win it this season, we are going to see a down 2025 NFL season. We've seen it from teams before, right? Hell, I believe I saw a stat at one point, the losers of the NFC Championship game historically do not make the playoffs the following season. The Detroit Lions could break that curse, right? Could get into the playoffs. Right now, they're obviously going to be the number one overall seed. They definitely don't make it to the NFC Championship game. They could break that curse again, make back-to-back NFC Championship games. But if they lose the Super Bowl, I'm seeing a down year for 2025. I'm seeing a lot of we just aren't good enough. We're a little bit of this, we're a little bit of that. And I understand Dan Campbell's got the grit, the work ethic, this. But at the end of the day, he said it best last season. We may not ever get here again. Meaning, you guys better work your asses off, because if you want to be here again, if you want to enjoy it, you got to work hard. But 49ers, right? Back-to-back Super Bowls. Losses to the Kansas City Chiefs. This season, kind of like, right? So the question is, guys, what if the Detroit Lions don't win the Super Bowl or make it to the Super Bowl? What if? What if? Let me know what you guys think. James says, either way, I ain't going to be mad. We either see a three-peat or see the Lions get their first championship. And James, I want to take it one step further. I am a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Not going to deny that one bit whatsoever. But I do not see the Kansas City Chiefs making the Super Bowl this season. I do not see the top teams in the NFL making it to the Super Bowl this season. There are a lot of cracks in these top teams. They are being held together by a nice, solid foundation, but once you take away that first or second layer, there's a lot of cracks, there's a lot of exposures in there, right? Obviously, the Detroit Lions are one of the best teams out there, and it would be great to see them win their first championship. It would be great to see them win the Super Bowl, right? But speaking from the Kansas City Chiefs fan base here, or a realist, they have a lot of cracks. They have a lot of issues. It's being covered up right now by winning nasty games and finding new ways to win, new ways to repair those cracks. But at some point, those cracks are going to show, and I don't think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to make it to the Super Bowl. I'm just being honest. Drew says it's possible that they could lose, no matter what. The number one rule in football is any given Sunday, except for when they play on Saturdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays and Mondays, right? John says, you're right. The Lions can't beat both the refs and the Chiefs. Good Lord. Good Lord. Ant says, James Frank, you don't really mean that, do you? He does. James is full on the Detroit Lions bandwagon right now, Ant. Mark C says, KC will not go to the Super Bowl. I can't believe Buck actually said that. Listen, I am a realist. And the realist in me saw Kareem Hunt slowing down a little bit last night. The realist in me saw Kareem Hunt not quite be quite explosive. Yes, he's carried the ball 20 plus times, like 5 straight games, right? He's probably tired, right? And obviously, when Isaiah Pacheco comes back at the end of November, maybe he might get that late season burst, not carrying the ball as much. But the cracks in the Kansas City's foundation is there. Patrick Mahomes is hobbled. Mark, I know we have a group chat happening, and I'm not going to say on air what you said, but truth be told, Patrick Mahomes is injured. I think Andy Reid says he has the loosest ankles in America or something crazy like that, right? I'm not for sure what he meant by that, but he seems like he always sprains that left ankle over and over and over again. Truth be told, they have flaws. They have flaws, and there's going to be a team in the AFC that's going to shock some people. But besides the Ravens, besides the Bills, I'm talking like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm talking like the Broncos. I'm talking like a team. Who else? The Miami Dolphins might get hot. The Pittsburgh Steelers. There's going to be a different team in the AFC. Yapin Mini KC Mo says, LOL, people said that about the Chiefs last 2 seasons, but okay. Yapin KC Mo, I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan. When the Kansas City Chiefs won their first Super Bowl, yes, everything was good. Great defense, right? Last year, they were carried by a defense, 100%. They were carried by their defense all season long. Life without Tyreek Hill kind of became apparent, right? Like, man, we don't have that number one receiver. Late in the season, what was it, week 13, 14, Rashid Rice finally started to emerge as that number one guy. Rashid Rice became that guy for the Kansas City Chiefs. But this year, right, Rashid Rice is obviously out. Worthy is not the number one guy. You have to make that touchdown catch. Wide freaking open, and you're worried about doing some magical running backwards into the end zone. Make the catch and get into the end zone. He's not the number one guy. D-Hop, playing great. I like D-Hop. The addition of DeAndre Hopkins was huge for the Kansas City Chiefs. Will that connection be there in postseason? To be determined. Juju, not the guy. Hollywood Brown may not even be playing this season at all. The flaws in the Chiefs are there, and it's starting to come out and haunt. I'm just saying. And then yapping and says, LOL, 8-0, baby. 8-0, sure. We've seen 8-0 teams, 10-0 teams not even make the playoffs. Or if they make the playoffs, they get blown out by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wild card game. I'm talking about the Arizona Cardinals, started off 10-0. Didn't even make the playoffs. Right? Philadelphia Eagles last year started 11-0. Got destroyed by the Bucs in the playoffs. I'm just saying. Oh, my bad. James says, here's the thing. KC is the only team that has a defense that could beat the Lions in the Super Bowl. They are. Exactly. If the Kansas City Chiefs do make the Super Bowl, their defense will definitely be carrying them, and the defense will be playing lights out, and it will slow that Lions offense down. Ant says, here's a better question. What team do you think could beat the Lions in the playoffs? Maybe Philly, or here's a sleeper, the Falcons. Big maybes. So teams in the NFC that can beat that can beat the Detroit Lions. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get a receiver in the next hour and a half, right? I think 4 o'clock is a trade deadline. It is 2:30 East Coast time now. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can get another receiver, they are dangerous. Their top 3 or top 4 receivers were out last night, and they took the Kansas City Chiefs into overtime. The Buccaneers, at full strength, beat the Detroit Lions already yet this season. So my first team that I'm going to throw out there is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers make it into the playoffs, the Detroit Lions do not want to play them. As simple as that. Falcons, getting better and better and better. But primetime Kurt. Until proven otherwise, I don't trust Kirk Cousins in the playoffs whatsoever. Falcons out. Eagles, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and they're getting better. They're building that confidence. Saquon Barkley is the man, the myth, the legends. But I don't think their defense is built well enough to compete with the high-flying offense of the Detroit Lions. And their offense could not go toe-to-toe with them point for point. Buccaneers could. The Commanders, addition of Lattimore is huge. We'll see how that helps them this weekend when they play the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 10. But Commanders potentially. If the Commanders get the opportunity to play outside of a wild card game in a divisional game versus the Detroit Lions, they would be competitive. Depending on how much Jadarius Smith is able to progress and be that guy that they need them to be as the third down shutter pressure of Jaden Daniels potentially. So the Commanders potentially. So two teams I think that could beat the Lions in the NFC playoffs: the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Washington Commanders. Because I think if it's an offensive shootout, both teams can go point for point. And if it's going to be a defensive shootout, I think they can go point for point as well. If that makes sense. And James says the Bucks. The Bucks can. Bucks are good. Mark D says there's a reason why teams have never won 3 in a row, because it's freaking hard. It's freaking hard, right? And then if you think about this, on top of that, Mark, not only do you have to win 3 Super Bowls in a row, you have to get there, right? You have to play, 9 extra games, 12 extra games, damn near a full NFL season extra than like everybody else. It's tough. Yippity Yiminy Casey Mo says, cool. Defense is decent now. Defense is great. Didn't play great last night, but defense is great. Lethal Weapon 3, Mahomes, D-Hop, and Kelsey. That defense, man, and the bound to go back to the Super Bowl. I hate to admit it, but those facts, you can plug in any running back. And Ant, I will give you D-Hop. I'll give you Kelsey. I'll give you that defense. But right now, Patrick Mahomes is not playing good football. He looks injured. He looks slow. And he kind of looks overwhelmed, to be honest. Kind of looks like, you know what? I'll turn it on when the lights get bright. Right? Bobby Wagner is playing lights out for the old man. He is. You guys are correct. But biggest what if? What if the Detroit Lions do not make it? What if don't make it?